Right. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss about EDIFACT because as far as the electronic document communication between two different systems or among systems, it's always important for us to use different EDI codes, which is called electronic data interchanges. In this regard, so when we try to understand about EDI files and all that, so we have another process normally we use called EDIFACT. So EDIFACT is uh, majorly useful if you want to generate any kind of invoices, especially something like I'm going to discuss today about the EDI invoice process flow. This is something which normally I'm using, right? So whatever the EDI invoice process flow, all that stuff. So in regard to the EDI fact invoice message, let me write down here. EDI fact invoice message. Right. So this is something wherein we are discussing today. Right. So because this is about a kind of invoice which is an electronic version of the kind of invoice or a bill which majorly we generates when any kind of supplier will use EFACT invoice communication to a buyer and as well as the specific items price as well as the kind of quantities that they wants to deliver. At the same time, it's also useful to settle down the payment terms which are usually accompanied with any billing information. Like most of the suppliers will also wants to receive different EDI 997 functional acknowledgements after buyer receive any kind of invoice notices or any kind of information that buyer is sending any EDI 997 back to the suppliers, indicating all the required stuff whichever is needed. In regard to the EDI fact invoice key data itself is concerned, there are some key elements which are involved in this. So the first one about the purchase order number. This is called, we call it as PO number. This is the one which normally we mention. The first one about purchase order number. The next one about the product price. The next one about invoice number as well as the date will be mentioned for here. Followed by material and or production release. Production release. Next, product or service identifiers. Respective quantities. So this is the information which normally we will be mentioning whenever we are updating any kind of EDF fact invoice messages. We'll be having some purchase order number followed by the product price, invoice number and as well as date, followed by material, product service identifiers, all that. In connection to EDI fact invoices, majorly there were other areas also because other EDI fact transactions we have something like EDI Delfer, which is for delivery forecast messages. At the same time, EDI control, right, which is for functional acknowledgement messages. At the same time, EDA requote, which is for request for quotation messages, all that. So these are different EDI transaction sets normally we use in regular intervals. But now we need to know about the process flow, how the process will be taken place. This process flow is something which normally one to understand with. When you're trying to understand about the process flows and all, so especially for EDIFACT invoices, etc., there are two people. One is about the buyers, and second about the supplier. So we have two different people, right? So this buyer consists of multiple elements. So one is about purchasing, second about receiving, the third one about accounts payable. These are the three things are there under the buyer part. Now, when it comes to the receiver itself is concerned, one is about sales management, next one about shipping, third one about the receivables, right? So these are the three different things will be there. One is about purchasing, second receiving, third is about account payable. Even for supplier also the same. We have sales management, shipping, followed by account receivables, all that. In try to understand about the process flow over here. Whenever we are sending EDIFACT orders, something like purchase order messages and all everything from the buyer. Normally, it will be received EDIFACT orders to the supplier. Against to that, whatever the messages they were sending from EDIFACT order SRPs, like something like purchase order acknowledgements and all, everything will be received under purchase order acknowledgements. So when there is any purchase order acknowledgements that we receive, EDA receive facts like advanced shipment notices. So whatever the advanced shipment notices that we have created or that uh, we have submitted, right? So when we are submitting any kind of EDA facts, or if there is any kind of skipping schedules do we have, everything will be updated in this regard. So once it is updated, we need to receive EDIFACT invoices. So whatever the invoice facts that we have received and all, that will be sent to the EDIFACT controls. So wherein we have to get the functional acknowledgements from the supplier to buyer and all that stuff, buyer to supplier, all that. So this is the general process flow, which majorly involves in three levels. One is the purchasing level where sales managements will receive the communication. At the same time, the next one about the receiving level, shipping related stuff will be covered in it. Last but not least, from the buyer to supplier, where an account receivables will be there. So these are the three different aspects which are there under EDA fact invoice messages, which normally we do when it comes to the EDA fact implementations are concerned.